Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the show. It's good to have all of you with us. It's a busy news day today. If you missed the big stories, no worries. We've got you covered. We'll recap some of the major ones for you. That Supreme Court injunction filed by the government yesterday, restoring normalcy to some of the country's essential services, namely pretty much health care. Now, Health and Wellness Minister, the Honorable Dr. Michael Darville, was on this show last night when he reported that 90% of junior doctors called in on Monday, while 98% didn't show up for work on Tuesday, severely impacting hospital operations, particularly the accident and emergency sections. Take a listen.
I'm still trying to understand what motivated the action. Thank God the impact that I thought they would have wasn't there. Here we are talking with professionals, doctors, who have not only a duty to the employees, that's the government, and yes, if there are issues with the government, they have the right to take industrial action, but in the context of their duty to their patients.
That, of course, is Prime Minister, the Honorable Philip Davis, who wasn't mincing any words on with reporters today on that, what he called, quote, illegal action spearheaded by the Trade Union Congress over the past 2 days. Now, he called that pretty much unnecessary. Now, also what's important to note is, of course, the Minister of Economic Affairs, Senator the Honorable Michael Alcides, he revealing that these actions' fiscal impact is still being assessed, and he did dismiss suggestions that the government had been stonewalling workers.
Prepared to address the issues. Some of them take a little while long, and we just request patience. The government is willing to address them.
There you have it. Well, the first day of Parliament for 2025 taking place today, and standing by tradition, parliamentarians assembled for their annual worship service at Christ Church Cathedral. We all know parliamentarians need all of Jesus they could get. Well, Bishop of the Anglican Diocese of the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos Islands, Right Reverend Leish Boyd, offering some strong words of advice to the lawmakers. Here's what he had to say.
Is there bad behavior among you? Irresponsibility, slackness, a self-serving approach, and even complacency? Unfortunately, in my view, there is a little bit of that. And so there is always a call to do better. I encourage you, try to aim higher, because the lower stuff is bad for the institution called representative democracy. In my view, there is too much time spent battling and not enough time collaborating on broader national urgencies and priorities. I cannot tell you how to do your job, because I'm in another field. But I can speak from my heart as someone whom you represent, and encourage you always to try to raise the bar, to be your better self, and to pursue what is noblest and what is best.
Couldn't have said it any other way, Bishop. You said it correctly. Raise the bar and be your better self. Now, I know it's tense. You don't go after the politicians, but let's just start there, because the House of Assembly is going to be back in session. And let's just face it, last calendar year, it was quite, should I say, eventful, at least. And hopefully parliamentarians weren't being their better selves, because if that is your better self, then we're going to have an issue. And hopefully they would take the advice of the good bishop and seek to do just that. Now, let's be honest. We are a year away from election year. Are we going to see the better selves, or are we going to see more show-stopping performances of people trying to make themselves relevant to the fact that I want to be elected or re-elected, or I want to be in power, or whatever it may be? The reality is, it is our sacred place of legislation, and there ought to be standards that are held to, and people ought to conduct themselves in a certain way all the time. Not just when you feel like it, but pretty much all the time. You are the standards of how people should conduct themselves in the Bahamas. And when you don't uphold that standard, then it leaves a lot to be desired. And Parliament has always become sometimes a playground, or most people term it when it gets out of hand, a circus, rather than a place of serious business, where we put the people first and not our personal agendas. But we are all hoping for the best. We're not going to criticize. We're hoping that the standard will be raised and that as the people's business continues in Parliament during this parliamentary session, that there will be a new level of respect for our country. Why do I say our country and not each other? Because you can easily lose respect for somebody based on how they act and what they say. But if you respect your country will dictate a certain kind of posture in the halls of Parliament. And even when you are tempted to go low, for the sake of your country, which you love and respect, you will go high. When people try to cause you to act out of your character, your love for your country will cause you to maintain your posture of integrity and professionalism. And that is what we ought to see in Parliament. But it's not an easy thing, you know, particularly for the person that must sit in that seat and bring order, even if it's to the side that she has been elected to serve with. It is a tough job. You're constantly under criticism, particularly by a Bahamian public that is not forgiving and that is very judgmental and that is very opinionated. Yet, you must operate with the degree of professionalism and try to maintain the respect of the people's hallowed place. And so that brings the Speaker of Parliament into question, and the fact that her role is never an easy one. And she is now speaking out about it and about her role and about the events past and looking forward to the future. When we come back tonight, she'll be at this desk, and we'll talk to her about the events of last year and what she will stand for and what she will not tolerate. We already know that she won't tolerate stuff. She ain't afraid. She won't back down. May not be your liking, may not be your choosing, but she is the person chosen for the job. And we'll talk to her about what it is that she faces on a day-to-day basis and going forward. And then a little later, you know, we like to talk about consumer protection and what you should be aware of. We have the chairman of the Consumer Protection Commission. A new release came out today with the figures. We're going to talk about that. So an eventful show today. You do not want to move. You don't want to miss it. We're going to get started right after the break. You are watching The Rundown. We're back with the Speaker of the House of Assembly right after this.
Make your company representative stand out through an embroidery design on your uniforms from Janae's Uniform Center, Chesapeake Road. Janae's utilizes the latest state-of-the-art embroidery technology to monogram large and small quantities of shirts, caps, bags, and other articles. If you don't already have a digitized logo, Janae's can design and digitize your idea and bring it to life. Then install the logo of your choice from their large selections of 27 stock colors of golf shirts in cotton or dry fit, caps, or workwear. Call 394-8385 or 6 or visit www.janaes.com.
Here at Immigration Care Service, you can trust us, especially if you have experienced issues or problems with the U.S. immigration at the borders. We'll do our best to provide options and solutions to immigration roadblocks, so travelers can continue visiting the U.S. and residents can continue living their lives in the U.S. without worries. The best part? Our services are affordable and accessible. Take the mystery, confusion, and fear out of your immigration concerns. Contact Immigration Care Service today.
As a parent and pediatrician, I know how important it is to keep our little ones up to date with their childhood immunizations. When your little ones are immunized, they have protection against diseases like
measles, whooping cough, and polio, which has
a treatment or cure. When the immunized child is exposed to the germs that cause these diseases, their immune system is prepared to fight immediately, preventing sickness and even death. Parents have been doing this for years to protect their children. Now it's your turn to keep your little ones safe.
Vaccines are essential for new and returning students.
As you begin back-to-school preparations, ensure that your children's vaccinations are up to date. All vaccines are available at all public health clinics. This message is brought to you by PAHO WHO, the Ministry of Health and Wellness, and USAID.
I don't know, but you just... What kind of cars? Are you serious, man? You ain't even know where to park? Yeah, just don't park in the... Look at this way. Like, you ain't getting nowhere to go. Don't park. Just don't park in the handicap spot. Yeah, that's handicap. No, man, you can't park in the handicap spot. I ain't gonna be that long. I ain't gonna be that long. Handicap spot, boy, what's going on, dog? I tell you we shouldn't park here now. This way park here, man. I tell you we shouldn't park here. No, get one of these things. My bar big broke, and he got a sticker inside this. Say, this mud, though. We gotta move. This is handicap spot. That's what we gotta move. But we gotta move. Don't leave me right now. Sorry.
Be considerate. Don't use disabled parking spaces without a decal in your vehicle. This message is brought to you by the National Commission for Persons with Disabilities.
Hi, I'm Brent Burrows, Vice President of Retail and Sales at CBS Bahamas and the CBS Pro Store. Not only do we guarantee the best prices on all your favorite building materials, but we're proud to offer the best delivery program in all of Nassau. Whether you buy one box of screws or a truckload of plywood, island-wide delivery is just $5. And for our Family Island customers, we're proud to offer complimentary drop-off to the mailboat of your choice. Visit us today at the CBS Pro Store on Robinson Road and check out our website to set up your next delivery.
We play just like your kids. We text just like your kids. We learn. We even cook. We take selfies. We have hobbies. And we love sports. In every way, we are just like everyone else and enjoy the same things and live our lives every day, just like you do. So if you happen to meet us, treat us just like everyone else. Because at the end of the day, we're just like you. Living life with Down syndrome is simply living. To learn more about Down syndrome, call 727-2105. This message is brought to you by the Grand Bahama Down Syndrome Society.
By giving unconditionally, not expecting anything in return, I thought it was a wonderful way of showing this love, and I believe that it is love that truly draws people, and so I thought we could cover a lot more people by feeding. Volunteers, you know, they have truly been sold.
My passion is to help, and I thank God for what I can do through the help of Bahamas Feeding Network.
Abuse, domestic violence, suicidal tendencies. Are you being stressed out from these problems? Call the national hotline at 422-2763 or 322-2763. There are trained social workers available 24 hours to help you. Know that you are not alone in this.
Welcome back to the Rundown. It's great to have all of you with us, particularly those of you who are watching on social media and the Lions Den on Facebook. And of course, those of you on YouTube, it's great to have you all with us. Well, it was a story that is now etched in Bahamian history. On December 4th, 2024, order was lost in the House Assembly with pandemonium breaking out and the mace, the symbol of the Speaker's authority, thrown out of the window. We go back to this report from Felicity Darville.
While Freetown MP Wayne Monroe was on his feet, Marco City MP Michael Pintard rose to speak without being recognized by the Speaker, demanding a chance to respond to the Prime Minister's address about the Commissioner of Police. At this moment, member for St. Barnabas Shannon Don Cartwright rose to his feet, left his spot, headed to the Speaker's desk and grabbed the mace. He proceeded to a nearby window and flung the mace out. The Speaker and MP for Bamboo Town, Patricia DeVoe, attempted to get the situation under control, but the House of Assembly landed in total disorder.
My Lord, my Lord, my Lord, my Lord, my Lord, my Lord.
The mace landed on a platform outside the House window set up for the Junkanoo parade. A group of officers, MPs, and House officials attempted to subdue Mr. Cartwright. He was escorted out along with several other opposition members. The mace was returned to the Speaker's desk, and the House temporarily resumed, with Speaker DeVoe making this statement, calling it a dark day in politics in the Bahamas.
I will review the tapes, and I will apprise the country later of my findings. But during today's event, I was assaulted. I was almost hit. Thank God for a glass of water in front of me. The Honorable Deputy Speaker was given a blow to the head and has to go to hospital. And we have a police officer with terrible damage to his leg. This is Parliament. This is where we come. We were elected to come to take care of the citizens of this country. This is not a political arena. This is Parliament.
Felicity Darville for the Bahamas Tonight.
As you saw in that report, Patricia DeVoe has made a name for herself as Speaker of the House of Assembly and the way she has conducted her proceedings in the House of Assembly. She, of course, is a member of Parliament for Bamboo Town and, of course, is a representative of the people as she presides over her House. He joins me now on the rundown. Madam Speaker, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Clint.
You sat here and watched the video. That was I call it your house because you're the Speaker.
Yes, reliving that moment.
As you watch that, what comes to mind?
Well, it's something that I'd like to put to the back of me, but what comes to mind is, desperation almost. Desperation is a word that I would like to use. But, you know, I can't blame the members on the other side for doing what they did, because this is what we call politics. And unfortunately for us in this country, politics is handled in a way almost like barbaric, you know? And we have to level down, and we, as politicians, have to bring it down.
I would think that for any Speaker of the House of Assembly, one of the hallmarks of your tenure is you want to ensure that you maintain law and order. Mm-hmm. How do you feel to see this happen under your leadership of the House of Assembly, to see the House in that kind of disarray?
Well, Clint, for me, bringing balance for the House of Assembly is not going to be an easy job.
Why do you say that?
Well, first and foremost, I have 38 characters. 38 characters that I have to deal with. Once I get into the House of Assembly, all from different backgrounds and all have different ideologies and all have different aspirations. And so for me, having control of that situation was, for the better word, where the mace was thrown out, but it did not happen in a way where the authority was taken away. And you know, what is ironic about this whole situation, and I have to come back to it because I look at the 3 times that the mace was thrown out, but the latter 2 times that the mace was thrown out, it was under female speakers. And I find it very ironic, you know, that at this moment in time, when another female speaker has, after 2 decades now, come to sit, the mace was thrown out, you know? But when I look at that, Clint, it is a part of history that I want young people to understand is this. You can't be a lawmaker in one breath, and that very same breath be a lawbreaker. There's rules, there's regulations, you know? There's a pattern, there's a protocol for what it is to become a government. And so it's about not just saying wait your turn, but wait on the process to happen, for it to happen. And with that happening like that, all I can say is to God be the glory that it didn't turn out in a worse state, you know, because here I am, I had a deputy speaker that was hurt, and I had a police officer that was hurt, all in the line of their duties. You know, when you get up in the morning and you come to work, especially at Parliament, where the world is watching us through a lens, you don't expect to go home either damaged or hurt. You expect the best behavior to happen in that place, or the best conduct, let me say, in that place. But it doesn't happen that way. Does it fall down because I'm a woman? I don't really think so, because I do believe that I'm a strong woman. But I believe that the challenge comes because when I look back, Clint, on the way things happen in latter days, when we had male speakers, it didn't happen like this, you know? And I look back, and I remember looking back and saying, boy, being a speaker is such an eloquent job. But when you sit in that seat, which is also a lonely seat, you begin to wonder. And oftentimes I'm judged, you know? I'm judged. People are very, very judgmental on the way I conduct house, but I tell them a lot of what really goes on in Parliament, they don't really get to see and experience. You understand? Because at the end of the day, my actions is only a reaction to the way I'm handled as a speaker. If a speaker says to you, honorable member, take your seat, and a member shouts back at the speaker, no, I am not taking my seat, then it is my job, Clint, to make sure that law and order is the order of the day inside the House of Assembly.
Do you believe that your judgments are fair? Do you believe you preside over the House with a degree of fairness, contrary to people, the opposition, who may chide that you're biased or that you're not fair to them? Do you believe that you're a speaker who operates with fairness?
You know, it's only until something of bad blood happens that you judge and say you're unfair. But there are many times that I bend the rules. If a member is explaining something, I go over, I said, okay, allow the member. Sometimes they jump up on points of orders that are not points of orders, but I allow them. Because I have to remember that outside of me, the country, the citizens are watching, and they have to have a level of understanding what is going on in those proceedings. And so I allow members to either not just banter, but to explain themselves a little bit more. There are times when both sides complain that, oh, Madam Speaker, you're being a little bit too lenient for them. I've had members get up and say, it's one rule for them, and it's another rule for the other side. But I believe that I make choices and decisions not just for me, Clint, but for the best interest of the country and those who are listening. That's why I make my decisions based on.
It's often said that Parliament is a place where members represent their communities and constituencies.
That is correct.
Who speaks and represents for Bamboo Town?
Nobody, actually. And I have not had one member, not one, come and say, Madam Speaker, you know, what goes on in Bamboo Town? Let me share that for you, you know? And that's sad. But Clint, my work will speak for me. I've been doing a lot of work, and there are times when I do have a sneak peek when it comes to member statement, when I do say a little something, but I would love the day when a member would say to me, Madam Speaker, on behalf of you and the great constituents of Bamboo Town, I would just like to take 5 minutes out of my speech and talk about some of the things and the initiatives that you're doing there.
How do you get things done? A lot of people are able to do things because of their portfolios in government. Yours is a Speaker of the House of Assembly. How are you able to get things done for the people in your constituency?
By going out and what they call hustling. You know, but, you know, I move around day to day. I go to various ministries myself, and I ask for opportunities, not for me, but for my community and for my people, you know. And for the better half, a lot of the members of Parliament and on the governing side have been very kind to me. Some I'm still waiting on, you know, but for the most part, a lot of them have been very kind and very open door and trying to help me to be able to help myself. But I can tell you, being a speaker is not an easy job, not just in the chair, but also in your community, because you have to go through so much, because the stipend they give you is not enough to bring a balance for what really needs to happen in the community itself.
Do you see this as I call it, the sacrificial lamb of in the governing party? When you win an election and you have to serve as speaker, you're now almost the keeper of the law and order, rather than being able to push the agenda of your people and your communities. It's almost like you're sacrificing your seat to preside over Parliament.
Not really, you know, because speaker is something I really wanted to do.
You wanted that?
I wanted that. You know, I have no issues in sitting down and being the Speaker of the House of Assembly. I believe that I have the character for it and the patience too. When I look around, I say, Lord, I don't know if much could really come and handle the drama that comes along with that chair. But I would like to see a time under this independent space where we are on, when the Speaker can be placed in a position where he or she in the future does not have anybody running against them, because it's a little bit more difficult for a speaker to be able to provide for his or her constituency based on the fact that they don't have a portfolio. The only portfolio you have is that of the speaker. So it's a little bit tougher. So you have to rely on the generosity of colleagues, or now I can safely say the governing party. So sometimes it's good, but sometimes it's not.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, I want to talk about your style of over the speaker. It's come as a criticism. Some people say you're very
out there.
I want to talk about that when we come back. You're watching The Rundown with the Speaker of the House Assembly. We're back after this. Stay close.
Hey, what's up, Mario?
Hey, Dale, what's going on?
Have you seen ZNS new digital platforms?
No. Let me go check it out.
Good day, Bahamas. I'm Devontae Hanna, and this is ZNS Digital,
where we cater to your news and entertainment needs. Are you a foodie? I thought so. Then look out for Digital Bites.
Shining a light on Bahamians and the good that they do, ZNS Digital is home to the Sunshine Room.
Keeping up with the latest trends, our original content will keep you entertained.
Yeah, that's cool.
But have you seen the new website?
No, I didn't see it. Let me go look.
We're still your most trusted source for news and information.
That's ZNS Digital?
Yeah, that's ZNS Digital, the people station in your pocket.
Hello, friends. I'm Mario Nuri, inviting you to the next A Familiar Walk as we walk down memory lane with our program over the years. Memories are the key not to the past, but to the future. So join us with former Governor Generals Dame Ivy Dumont, Sir Orville Turnquest, Sir Arthur Foulkes, former Prime Minister Perry Christie, and former Deputy Prime Minister and now Governor General Dame Cynthia Pratt. At every phase of our life, we make memories that we cherish all our lives, and we ask you to join us for a few of ours.
It's a joy, to help someone who is in need,
I'm proud to know that we are able to accommodate them with a hot meal, fresh meal, and a well-balanced meal.
A lot of our clients, as you know, it's in the inner city, and persons who really and truly and so much have lost their job. And for whatever reason, 2 months, 3 months, they really don't have anything.
You have to have some kind of kindness to do this.
Welcome back to the Rundown. My guest tonight is the Speaker of the House of Assembly, the Honorable Patricia DeVoe. We're talking about really her role and what it is that she has to preside over, especially as they head into a new year and the session continues in Parliament. And as I was saying before the break, many have criticized your style of leading the House of Assembly. They say, oh, you're rude. Oh, she says some things that are just quote-unquote ghetto, or how she leads, oh, she's unfair. And it's criticisms like that. What do you say in response to your style of presiding over Parliament?
You know, listen, Clint, it's like this. I'm not there to emulate anybody. I'm going to be me. And when I first started out, I was a little bit more on the British side. And then I sort of...
The British side?
Yeah, I grind myself down because as you move from strength to strength, and especially when you move around the family islands, you want to be relatable. You understand? And so one of the things that people don't like most about me is not really per se my style, you know. It's the fact that I'm a rule enforcer. You understand? And I know my rules and procedure.
You studied it?
I've studied it. I'm living it. I go up and down with it. And so a lot of times I come under open criticism because I utilize the rules that governs the House of Assembly. That it governs me as a speaker. And so when you're lenient, oh, everybody loves you. You know, she has a wonderful style. But the minute you become an enforcer of the rules that regulates the House of Assembly, then they start to call you rude. They start to call you ghetto. They start to call you bigoty. All of these things. But I've seen things happen in the past with male speakers, and they call them authoritative. What is the balance between a male and a female speaker? You know, they can go to the House of Assembly and very well elevate their voices and say, okay, he's dealing with authority. But the minute I elevate my voice, I am ghetto. But let me tell you something, I don't live by that. Clint, I remember one time, my brother sent me a note. And people have to realize that you can't allow your politics to get in the way of your decision making. And I remember when the mace was thrown out, and I screenshotted because I wanted to hold on to that. And the individual said, you know what? They really should have thrown the speaker out of the window.
Whoa.
Can you imagine something like that? I have a family.
Wow.
And if for me to be thrown out the window, that means you almost wish death upon me.
Right.
And so I'm resetting as I move back into this new year. I'm gonna bring new energies, new innovations, but if I have to defend the rules, I am going to defend the rules. Because when I get in that green chair, I'm not defending me, not Patricia. I am defending the citizens of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. And if I have to work with every fiber of me to bring some level of decorum to that green carpet, I'm going to do it, Clint.
I often say people don't understand sometimes the rules of the House of Assembly. So at face value, you see something happening, and you say, well, why won't she allow him to speak? Why can't he speak? Not recognizing that there's an agenda, parliamentary agenda. And there are places you can speak, and there are places you cannot speak. For example, there's a part of the agenda that says ministers' communications. That is for cabinet ministers.
Only.
Only. And so if you want to get up, you can't get up in that time and say, I want to speak, because you're not able to speak. And so I think a lot of people say, well, why she won't let him speak? She letting the prime minister speak, she letting the minister speak, not understanding that there's an agenda and there's a policy and a procedure that says you can speak at a certain point on the agenda.
That is correct.
And if you do want to speak, you have to submit in advance, get approval, send your comments in advance ahead of time. These are things people don't see. And they don't know these things. And so when a ruling is made, they simply think it's just unfair, not understanding that you have to follow an agenda.
That is correct. And many times I am scolded because I follow the rules. But I realize the citizens of the country really don't know the rules, per se. So it's my job to try to help them to understand what is going on and why I made that decision. My job is never, ever to muzzle. I have to allow both sides to be heard. And at the end, in the interim, I also have to give protection to both sides. So I'm not there to muzzle them. I'm there to help them. And sometimes, too, with me allowing them not to say certain things, because at the end of the day, Clint, lawsuits can happen. And sometimes I have to say to members, you got to know protection when it's coming your way. Certain things you ought not say. And also, I cannot allow persons or any member, any honorable member in that place, to come and put on the law, on the rule, on the agenda, or on record. Let me say that. Anybody, private citizen of this country, put their name out there. I have to be their judge and jury. I am their greatest protector. So I'm very wary when I don't allow persons to do certain things, because at the end of the day, it could come back to bite us.
You sat in church today at the beginning of this new calendar year. We heard the charge from Leish Boyd, Right Reverend Leish Boyd, to parliamentarians. As you sat there, what went through your mind as you get ready to reconvene Parliament for another session?
As I sat there, I said, Lord, I wonder if my members are really, really listening. And not just listening, gonna apply it when we get back into session. You know, Clint, I often tell people, any speaker's dream is to see one side be able to come together with the other side. Because the bigger picture is not being elected at the polls, you know. Because that's what they do for 5 years. Bound across the board, you did it, you did it. You understand? I want to bring a balance. No, we understand who did it. Our job is to fix it.
Correct.
Let's fix it. Let's move the country forward. Let's impact the lives of the Bahamian people. And so my thing about this is, I want to see the House of Assembly get to a place when we could come together and work for the common good of mankind, which is the citizens of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Because I could tell you something, Clint. I am from Bamboo Town. I was born there and I lived there. I have a lot of persons hurting in my community. And I would like for both sides, because both sides create a government, to come together and let's structure something so we could ensure that every man, every woman, every child is taken care of in this country. And that's the kind of Bahamas I'd like to see.
I think you're ready to close. I want to ask you a couple of questions. First question is, can you remember one of your best days? Tell me about it. Of course, on the other contrary side, tell me one of your worst days. Tell me about it. And then this year, what would you like to see happen in Parliament?
Well, one of my best days was being sworn in. You know, it was a beautiful time for me. It was something new, and it's something that I wanted to do. And, you know, I want to serve. And so that was a beautiful time for me. Well, the worst day I could tell you is December 4, 2024. You know, and I don't want to ever see that kind of a level of politics in this country again, because bad behavior does not depict the fact that you're going to be a good government. People are really, really tired. As I move around, Clint, people often ask me what it is why we should vote for you. So I often tell people, vote for me based on the works that I've done. Vote for me based on the works that I have done to impact your life and make it better for you to live in this community. Now, what I'd like to see happen, I'd like for us to go back, reset. You understand? Bring a new level of energy and a new level of innovation. We're in 2025, and we're right outside the borders of a new election. Do not use the floor of the House of Assembly as a place to just war over who thinks they should be the next government. Use the House of Assembly to impact and push this country forward. We have the opportunity to be great. As I move around the Caribbean, we're one of the greatest little countries in the world. Let's make it even greater, but only if we can get together and work for good.
What do you say to the people of Bamboo Town?
Oh, the people of Bamboo Town, I love them. And like I say to them, if they want me one more time, I'm willing. But if they said, Pat, this is not what we want you to do, I'm still willing. You know, because I was born there, Clint. I was raised there, and I'm still there. And Clint, I'm not going anywhere.
My final question, your assessment of your government's performance to date in office.
Well, the government performance, let me say this. The government has been able, as I sit, to pass a lot of good legislation in the House. And I'm extremely proud of them and the journey. And if we can get together as one voice and continue the business of the people of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, I think we're going to be all right.
Madam Speaker, it's always a pleasure talking with you. Thank you for coming on the Rundown.
Thank you.
Speaking with us. And stay with us. Ahead, we're going to talk to the chairman of the Consumer Protection Commission. Some new things coming out. You want to hear those figures. That's up for the Rundown next. Stay with us.
Over 3 million shipwrecks on the ocean floor, just waiting to be found. Nothing is truly ever lost at sea, only hidden by time and sand. When I put this fleet together, it wasn't just for fun. And although we do have fun, we never lose sight of our goal. Right here, right now, we are on a mission.
The United States of America just voted in its 47th president, Donald J. Trump, and we're packing our bags and heading to Washington, D.C. to be there on Inauguration Day, January 20th, 2025. The stage is set, and here's your opportunity to be a part of this historic journey when you sign up for one of our affordable advertising packages. Your business will be included in our live on-location news stories in the National Report and Access Now. And that's not all. The Rundown with Clint Watson will also air live from Washington, D.C. Thought we were done? Not yet. Our dynamic social media teams will be in D.C. as well, giving you live, interactive, up-to-the-minute updates as it all unfolds. Don't delay. Call our sales department now at 502-3800 and reserve your exclusive D.C. package. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you all set? Well, let's hop on that flight. You know we always have you covered, because only the sun covers the Bahamas better.
Welcome back to the show. The Bahamas Consumer Protection Commission reaffirming its commitment to safeguarding consumer rights across the nation. Now, with an unprecedented rise in reported cases and recovered claims, the CPC continues to serve as a trusted ally for Bahamian consumers. Executive Chairman, Senator the Honorable Randy Roll joins us live tonight with details just coming out today of the CPC's end-of-year report. Good evening, Chairman. Welcome to the show. It's good to have you.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
I'm happy to be here with you because the last time you were here, I was out.
Yes.
And so I'm glad to be here behind the desk with you. Tell us about this report, because I'm going to tell you why I wanted to talk to you tonight, because this is an example of action. Right? We oftentimes form these committees, form these commissions, say we're going to do something about it, and we never hear the actual impact and result of what was done. First of all, before we even go into the numbers, explain the purpose of the Consumer Protection Commission.
Well, the Consumer Protection Commission was established to safeguard the interests of the Bahamian consumer against savory practices by providers. And so it's to protect your interests, and that is what our mandate is, and that is what we've been trying to do.
Have you been successful in doing that? And tell us some of the successes and victories you've had?
Yeah, man, it's been very good. As a matter of fact, Clint, to be honest with you, when I moved from downtown to the consumer protection, first thing I said is not as sexy as downtown.
Right.
And so I was a bit concerned. However, we have found a lot of quick wins. We have had a lot of successes. We have used that opportunity to get the message out there. And so a part of it, a large part of it, is educating the consumer as to their rights. Now, in 2023, the government of the Bahamas updated the Consumer Protection Act. And what it did was it gave us teeth to really get some things done. And so consumers now can realize and be comforted that if there is a complaint that's made against a provider, it's not going to fall on deaf ears.
So are you saying then that people who have made complaints and you've investigated and found it to be legitimate, they have gotten resolved?
Most definitely.
Give me an example.
As a matter of fact, I can tell you, again, looking at our numbers that we placed out today, in 2021, I think it was like about 52 complaints, where today, in 2024, we ended the year at about 444 complaints total.
Wow.
In terms of dollar value, I think the overall figures for 2024 is about $240,000. And so that's $240,000, Clint, that persons who would have otherwise lost it
were able to recover.
Was able to recover just by simply calling Consumer Protection, and again, us being able to solve some of those complaints. And other than that number, Clint, none of those matters were ones that went to court. And so
you were able to resolve these yourself?
Yes.
With the legislation that you have, it's given you the authority to make some decisions and determinations.
Yes, correct. And so I'm grateful to my team at CPC, those in the complaints department, who has done a yeoman's job in, again, solving these complaints. We're a very small team. Basically now we know that we have to grow because the complaints are coming in more and more as the consumer understands what CPC does.
Here's some of the complaints that came in. People complained about defective goods.
Yes.
In other words, they would have purchased something, it didn't work.
Correct.
Or wasn't any good.
Correct.
They reported it to you, you were able to investigate, contact the agency, and get a refund or new goods for the people.
Yes, that's correct.
That's happening here in the Bahamas. Because, you know, we often complain about things, but we never figure that anything can be done about it, and there's recourse to it.
Most definitely.
All right, here's another area that you've done. Lost items. What do you mean lost items?
Using this, for example, the shipping companies.
All right, okay.
You placed an order, you paid for it.
You never get it.
Never get it.
Instead of the shipping company saying, well, you know, it lost, we'll have to get back to you, you were able to intervene and cause people to be reimbursed for those lost items.
Most definitely, and I think that's a big one, Clint.
Wow.
Again, we still have a lot of ways to go, but in terms of the success rate thus far, it is something that's very encouraging.
Here's an interesting one. Unfair pricing. Explain that.
Unfair pricing, unfair practices, Clint, there's a number of examples I can give with that. But something that I want to point out is, for example, you are the middleman in a transaction. You know, there is a case where there is warranty or something along those lines, and you don't want to pass on, that's to me. So again, the Act speaks to, listen, this is what I'm entitled to as a consumer. Again, a lot of people don't understand or just weren't familiar with it, and so what our Commission has done is we've tried to educate the consumers. We want smart consumers. We want consumers that know their rights. We've started doing a daily consumer tips. And this has gone far and wide as to what are your rights as a consumer. People know it. You buy a phone, and some people has this policy where we don't give refunds on electrical items.
No returns on electrical items.
No returns on electrical items. Well, the law says differently.
Really?
And so, yes.
A lot of people ain't telling you the truth. They just putting their own policy in place.
Correct.
Just to try and circumvent the law.
Yes, yeah, definitely. And so our team has been able to show them that, listen, in the new Act, You are entitled to a refund. You are entitled to it. Some people say, listen, I use my credit card. And just today, we met with the Chamber of Commerce because, again, I remember you said, Bishop spoke, I missed the church service, but he talked about collaboration. Well, collaboration is a big thing, a big part of what we're doing in consumer protection today. We want to build relationships. So we're not interested in putting small businesses out of business. We just want to make sure that the consumer is first in everything that you do.
I went to a particular business last week. I purchased something, a food item, and I pulled out my debit card to purchase the item. It was $8 and something cents. And they told me, oh, we don't do purchases under $10 with debit card. You have to spend more than $10 in order to use your debit card. Now, because I heard something before with the Consumer Protection Agency, I knew that was wrong.
Right.
And I remember your agency saying, no, you cannot put a minimum charge on debit cards. Debit card is considered currency and money.
Correct.
You could pay whatever amount for it. You cannot. And I found out that companies are doing it because they don't, because you know, when they're charged by the bank for every transaction, and they figured if I got to pay bank fees,
get away with it, they try.
Right. I want $8. I can pay bank fees, so we can put up a sign saying no, you $10 or more. That is incorrect, isn't it?
Most definitely. And part of that is regulated by central bank as it relates to some banks. But again, through collaboration, we're able to work with them. We know the law. We're able to tell the providers that this is the law. And most of them have, again, been compliant as it relates to it. For example, there's also IRCA. And so we've formed this relationship with IRCA as well. And so the key is to continue to work with our partners, our brothers and sisters, price control, and every area to make sure that we work in the best interests of the Bahamian consumer.
So you have no excuse, Bahamians. You have no excuse. We often talk about in our country, oh, they treated me bad, oh, this happened to me, oh, that happened. You now can recover from any potential loss based on the laws that are in place as a consumer. You've just got to do the right thing and call in or report it so that you can get recourse on it.
Correct.
Have you been able to solve these in a timely manner, or are these years?
Again, based on the report, most of the matters are solved within a matter of, I think, 4 to 6 weeks. There are some issues that's still outstanding that we have to continue to work on, but we're going to continue to build and grow our team. We're going to continue to build relationships. And once the providers understand that, listen, there is an agency that's going to take an aggressive approach to make sure that we get results for the consumers, they have been very much working with us. And so we're grateful for that. We're going to continue to build with them and make sure that we get results for the Bahamian consumer.
Are there matters that you're not able to solve that must go to the AG's office or that must be referred for legal intervention?
I can say to you that there is, we just wrote to the AG's office this past week because there is a particular provider who has not been as cooperative as possible. Now, the Act gives us the opportunity to even publish who that person is. But again, it's not our style to try and put people out of business. But what we're saying to them is, listen, we're going to write to you. We're going to give you the opportunity to do what's right. And if you still refuse to, then we're going to follow the process. And again, through collaboration with the AG's office and the laws that are in place, the teeth that's in the Act, we're going to act on it. But we need to make sure that the consumer knows that there is someone that's fighting for them.
How does the process work? Do you have inspectors that check on a consistent basis, or are you based on what is reported to us, we then investigate?
We are based on what's reported to us. Now, I can tell you over the Christmas holidays, our inspectors, our investigators wore their vests. Now, you would be surprised of how many consumers approached them because they saw them in these particular places. Again, one of the things that we looked at was we noticed that during the end of the month when old-age pensioners were receiving their pensions, in some stores, they were using that opportunity to put expired goods to the front.
Wow.
And, you know, if you're an old age pensioner or someone who just don't have good eyes, you're just going to pick up. Bahamians shop with our eyes, you know, and sometimes, if it just looks good, we won't look at the small details. Right. So we just pick it up. And so what we've tried to do is, again, when people see us in these areas, they say, listen, check this out, check that out. This is something you need to look into. And again, we've received a lot of results just by word of mouth from the consumers.
What is your focus as you look into this year? You've had success with last year. The figures are there to prove and show that. What is the focus this year?
Well, again, when we broke down the numbers as to the #1 complaint, it was the courier services. And so we've received a good success rate there, but there's still a lot more to do. Again, some things we say and do may seem a bit repetitive. But again, that is the role of the consumer protection, to make sure that the consumers understand why we're there. We're there to protect and safeguard your interests. And so we're going to continue to spread the word. Any opportunity we get to talk about it, to share information, you know, we're going to do it. You know, the government just announced the other day that, you know, we're looking into a competitive app that will, again, outside of the breadbasket items, you know, consumers will be able to look and see, hey, who has the best prices? Okay, so I don't have to go here. Right. I have this choice.
I can shop
and so
around.
yes, exactly. And so it's giving consumers the opportunity to shop around for what's best. Because, you know, everyone feels the pinch. We just need to make sure, and I'm thankful that the government has moved in that direction to say, listen, let's see how best we can help consumers.
Well, I tell you, hats off to you. The numbers are certainly there. You're making a difference, and I'm glad that consumers, you have recourse. You actually have a place and an avenue where you can get help, where you can get your matters addressed. All you've got to do is pick up the phone and call. Tell us how they can reach you. If people want to call in a complaint or concern, how can they do so? Okay, well, again, we are at Howell Road, our office. We have a number of walk-ins, and then we do have a hot, I think it's right at the bottom here, Yes, hotline, and it's a 24-hour hotline number, and that's 357-7898. 357-7898. And so, you know, you can call them right now, and there's someone's going to answer the phone to be able to take your complaint. We build files, and again, we follow them through to the end. Congratulations on your success, and hopefully you'll have even more success in this year. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. And that is our show tonight. That does it for the rundown. Be sure to stay locked on the ZNS network for the Bahamas tonight at 11. It's the final newscast in the country with the latest news and information with Royston Jones. He's over there in the building. I see him preparing for the 11 o'clock news. For all of us here at ZNS, I'm Clint Watson. Thank